Other questions? Yes. Go ahead.
As Mr. Lithgow mentioned earlier, the U.S. is known so well for its artistry. Why do you think that programs in the arts get funding cut so quickly as compared to athletics programs and other educational programs?
That's a question I can't answer. I don't understand it, so how can I find an answer for it? What frightens me a little bit is that the arts are looked on in a sort of snobby way in this country. It's like, if you like the arts, you've got to be rich and you've got to be intelligent. Well, that's not the way of looking on the arts. The arts are something we are all born with. Why did we begin dancing? Why, when you put a piece of music on, a baby does this? The minute you put a piece of music on, the minute you put a crayon in its hand, it draws pictures. We're born with that. This isn't about being a snob, rich or anything. The arts are for everybody. And I don't comprehend why we would take away the thing that makes us outstanding in this world. It separates us from the animals. Why would we take that away from people? It's incomprehensible. So I can't answer your question, I'm afraid.
I'll give it a go. I'd like to say that, for one, that the microphone is very short. For two, I'd like to say that, thank you, Hill. Free at last. Well, no, I think it's something different. I think that the arts are kind of like the air we breathe. And I think that it's so interwoven into who we are that some of the legislators don't even recognize the subtleties and the nuances of how it has actually formed them. So I think there's a subliminal hibernation that's taken place for these people, and not recognizing that, you know what, the child will dance. And they think the child dance regardless because the music's gonna get played. And I think that there's just really a nonchalance to it that is the reason why we all need to be here to fight and press and advocate to find out, to make all of these people aware that, hey, it's not just a given. This is something that people have to create. And to create it, they need the opportunity to express themselves, like Clay said. So that's what I think it has more to do with the lack of recognition of that it's actual work and that it's, that.
I think you said, who was it that posed that question? Where are you? And I think you said, did you say that you think the America is known for its arts? Okay, because I mean, America is somewhat known for its arts. I mean, there are great artists here. We have our own cultural legacy here. But in terms of the way, seeing this through the prism of why we're here today, around the world, America is known as a country where there is kind of an almost ridiculous lack of support for the arts by the government. If you go to Europe, and I just got back from Rome on Sunday, I was there for the premiere of this film. Now, of course, we can't compete with ancient civilizations, and when you go to Greece and Italy and France and London and so forth and Spain, we know we can't compete with that. And of course, there's an inverse thing there. We have the economy, and they've got the cultural heritage. And even though our economy is threatened now, we still have a great economy and a real 12-cylinder economy here as compared to some of these other countries. But that doesn't change the fact that they're on to something that we need to get onto here, and that is that federal investment in maintaining our cultural heritage, the arts, whatever it is here in this country, is good on that trifecta of levels. It creates jobs, it creates tax revenue, it builds communities, it helps stimulate education and test scores in our children. I mean, it just is a win-win. You can't find the spending of federal dollars that has the resonance that these programs do. And as I said last night at that lecture, not only do we need to maintain levels from 1992 and 20-year-old levels, we need more. We need to be spending $1 billion on the National Endowment for the Arts in this country.
I was just going to add to what Alec just said. When Greece apparently does have extreme financial difficulty, but we have a prime minister of the cultural arts. There's a prime minister for that. I look at the NEA as our prime minister of our cultural arts, of our humanities. And I think that's the most important thing. The reason why we're all here today is that this is our link. This is the organization that's getting that support that's so necessary. And it can't just wait on the laurels of all the wealthy of the United States to go, oh, we'll just support it because, you know, our generous family and we need to make our corporations to make our success significant. It's human nature to make our success significant. It would be really nice if we would go back into everyone's basic soul and say, don't be a politician today. I don't want to be an actor today. I want to be my uncle who was one of the 4 guys who designed the original spacesuit and also an incredible musician. The two come together, and I think it's the scientists and the artists. We were in the White House yesterday, and it was shocking to me. I didn't know that the man who created the Morse code was actually a painter, and when he died, he wanted people to remember him as a painter. What would we have done without the Morse code? What would we have done without his paintings?
I just want to ask one question. You guys went to the White House yesterday? Oh. I didn't go.
It was for the CSI people, yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
Yeah, I can tell you, I was lucky enough to be the chairman of the British Academy of Film and Television Arts in Los Angeles, and we have an outreach program there where we went to Compton, which is an area in south central Los Angeles that is known for 2 things, the Bloods and the Crips, and a lot of gang violence. I think there was something like 75 murders in Helen Keller Park. And we spoke with the Parks and Recreation and put up a large tent and had screenings of movies. And we spoke to both gang leaders and said we would like this area to be free of violence. And both agreed, because it was doing something for the community, that they would keep this area free of violence. It has saved Los Angeles so much money because they don't even have to have a police force there anymore. It's looked after by the gangs because it is doing something for their community. The more that we look at instituting community programs of the arts, they realize that it is empowering them. It is giving them an area of growth. And we know how much creativity there is in those areas that are sadly overlooked because they are made to feel unintelligent and unacceptable to society, which is so wrong. I don't know if you've seen the new Mobil Exxon commercial that's on television at the moment, which is talking about where America is in the list of countries that do well in science and mathematics, and you're sort of way down the chart. And they say, help Mobil Exxon with maths and science. When did that become a partnership? When did maths and science become the partnership? I always thought it was arts and science. Am I wrong? It amazes me. We're starting to lose the word even being joined up to science. It will soon, I believe, be realized that it is through the arts that we will become innovative and we will learn creative thinking, because it isn't just about cramming facts in our heads anymore.
How about that? Arts and science. We were talking, Charles Seegers, the CEO of Ovation, was talking about that just the other day. When did that slip out of the nomenclature and it became math and science? Just to the question of how did it happen, here's just one interesting way to look at it. The arts were never a partisan issue. Excuse me. The President's Committee for Arts and the Humanities was founded by Ronald Reagan. There is a strong tradition of arts support on both sides of the aisle. But there's something different going on today in the halls around us, and I think that's what everybody recognizes, and it's caused a mutation in the process. And I kind of actually just thought about it as I was listening to you guys talk a different way. When you go to Las Vegas, what's the first thing that they do? They take your money and they turn it into chips. And once it's turned into chips, it's not really real anymore. Well, here, there is at least a strong movement to say, we're just going to turn everything into numbers. And those numbers are then going to go onto a page. And our only job is to cut the numbers. We don't have to care how we do it. At the end of the day, our report card is that we start with one number and we walk out with another. And if we walk out with that other number in the short term, we've succeeded. Because that is short-term thinking. That is short-term political expedience. And the fact of the matter is that the reason why we're here today and what was so incredibly important about having each one of these folks who have a lot to do, Alec is going to the White House later, obviously, maybe with the CSI folks because they can give them the tour, is to take those numbers back off the page. That's the only way this can work. They are not numbers. They're people. They're Omar's story. I mean, what a phenomenal story, right? And sports gets a hall pass for a lot of reasons, one of which is it's really big business. Well, guess what? So is the arts. It's not as obvious. And that's why each and every one of us, each and every one of you are here today, which is to lift those numbers back off the page. Their faces, their bodies, their family stories. And to remind everyone in these halls, you can do that with a lot of things, but you can't do that with the arts because that's something much bigger than just numbers on a page. And if we decommoditize it and take our chips back and put a face behind each one of those chips, I think that's a beginning of a way to do it. Because we really shouldn't, we are over crumbs while there are huge piles of riches that are being protected in the form of other government subsidies and other things that have been well illustrated today. So take the numbers off the page and put your faces behind them.
Thank you. We're going to bring this part of the event to a close. Before I do, I want to just see if any of the artists up here have another word that they would like to say on any subject, or they thought of something that somebody asked and now they have the answer. And if not, let me just say that the person who asked the question about why it is so hard and why funding cuts in this funding battle is so often on us. And I have a very, very long answer for that, which I won't give. The very short answer is 1620, Pilgrims, followed by Puritans, sent from England. But the reason I say that is what we don't realize is that in this country, this debate about art or no art in a very practical nation has gone on for 400 years. So in the early 1600s, art and music and dance and even certain colors were outlawed in our country. And then there was a battle back. And in the 1700s and the 1750s, theater was outlawed, music was outlawed in a number of states. And then there was a battle back, and then the Transcendentalists came along, and slowly we started to get some money, and it has been a battle back and forth for all these years. So in America, we have to continue to make the case for the value of the arts against a backdrop of separatism and privatization and conservatism. And so we have the new Transcendentalists here with us right here, a century later, and I want to thank all the artists for being here to help us continue to wage that battle for arts in America. Thank you all very, very, very much. That's great. Thank you.